Okay guys, today we're going to be talking about Beverly Hills by Weezer. The purpose of this video is to kind of diversify your understanding of music and how arrangements are made. So instead of doing like a trap song or something, I'm going to try and reproduce this rock song, this relatively simple rock song in Logic entirely with MIDI instruments. So you don't have to play guitar or anything like that. So here's how it sounds. Right, so I didn't put any vocals in, so this is just going to be kind of the backing track, and you can kind of get an understanding of how rock songs in general are made. So first things first, we're going to talk about the snare roll in the beginning of the song. Make sure your tempo is set to 87 BPM. So open up your browser window with Y. I clicked Blue Ridge, default first drum kit. You can go ahead and draw in a MIDI section by clicking your tool right here, the pencil tool. Clicking right there. I'm switching back to my pointer tool. Click E to open your edit window or double click that MIDI region, and here we go. We got all of our samples here. The way to make this smaller to get 64th notes, which is what we need for the snare roll at the beginning of the song, is you click this display mode, this arrow right here, go to custom, click this division right here, and go to 64. That'll split your grid up into 64th notes. Then you can change your quantize to be 64ths, right? But since we're not really playing it, that's not super necessary. I'm just going to draw everything in. So I'm going to click this tool menu. I'm going to click the pencil tool. I'm going to find snare center. And I'm going to move this just to be on the first beat, and I'm going to make the velocity of that first hit really high because the accents on this are essentially on the first and the last hit. So if you think about this in a snare roll, we're going to imagine each hand hitting the snare drum 4 times. If you've ever done a snare roll before, it's essentially you're pressing the drumstick into the snare and it bounces off of it very frequently. So on this one, I'm going to imagine my right hand hits 4 times. And my left hand hits 4 times. So we fill up almost an entire measure there. We're essentially filling up 3 beats of 87 BPM. I've got the accented 1, and I'm just going to go 2, 3, 4, and I'm going to switch to my pointer tool and reduce the velocity of these quite a bit. When your snare is rolling, there's not accents on the rolls. They're hit lighter, which is why these are blue, and that one's going to be red. So I'll make them like a little louder maybe. Okay, so this is my right hand. I got 1, 2, 3, 4. Now let's do my left hand. I got 1, which is going to be a little louder since I'm switching my hands. So we'll do 1 just a little bit louder, and then I'll go 2, 3, 4, and I'm going to reduce the velocity of those. 2, 3, 4. Okay, so now I've kind of got 2 rolls happening. I'm going to do 1 more just for good measure. So 1. Now I'm back on my right hand. My right hand is going to do its own roll. 2, 3, 4. Reduce the velocity of these just a little bit. And cool. Now we can just be lazy and we can just Command R. So I'm going to highlight that. Command R. Move it over. You can also Command C to copy it and then paste it right on that next part. That's fine. So let's see what we've got so far. Bam. So we got 1 more to go. I'm going to do this. So I'm actually going to do 1 more there. So this is where we hit, right here. So that last snare. So essentially we've got like 48 notes filling up and we end on the 49th. It's because we're not going a full 4 bars. It's like 3 bars. So that's 48 instead of 64. And we're accenting every 4. So this last one, I'm going to accent super a lot as well, like this. Okay. So I might even reduce the velocity of some of that because it's starting to sound a little bit like a machine gun, which is not really the goal. So I'm just going to reduce that by a lot, see what it does. That's a little closer. Cool. Okay, so now I'm just going to add a crash left symbol up here. Increase velocity all the way. So that's the snare roll. That's probably one of the more difficult parts of the song. So now continuing with the drums, I've input all of the fills for this. So we're going to go just the drums first. After the drums, the guitars are fairly repetitive. The drums are pretty repetitive too. So here are the drums. repeat that. I mean, like, this is essentially the entire song minus fills. When I say fills, what I'm talking about is basically an improvisation from the drummer, so they'll add something different to that part of the song. So we got this 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and that pattern is going to be 2 kicks on 1 and. On the 2, we're going to have a hi-hat foot splash, which is essentially when the drummer presses the hi-hat pedal and the hi-hat opens and it makes its own sound. And then we've got a snare and a clap happening at the same time. So the clap is essentially like sampling with the snare, because in the song they have people clapping around in a room. So it's just going to be kick, kick, snare, kick, kick, snare. And you can hear that hi-hat working, right? So I've got this hi-hat foot splash happening on 2. And then I've got the hi-hat close, foot close. So that's when the pedal is released and it closes. So we've kind of got that thing happening. This pattern repeats. So just focus on this pattern right here. Now you can take that and you can repeat it. We're still in 64 grid. So I'm going to go ahead and change this to 8th notes, because everything right now is mapped to 8th notes. This happens 7 times. So you can just take this, Command C, Command V, or you can just take it, Command R, and repeat it, even though sometimes it repeats to random places. We're just going to do like this. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so this is that fill, right? That happens on the 8th time. So now we've got some 16th notes happening, so I'm going to go ahead and change my grid back to 16ths. So I've got just essentially on the fills, I've got 2 snares, 1 high tom at the same time as my hi-hat foot close, and then I've got my kick with the snare center, and then I got a snare, and then I'm doing a hi-hat foot close. Okay, and so that's that fill. It sounds like this. So that's the first time around with the drum fill. Now, that repeats a lot. So you can just take that whole thing, this whole section, and just Command R, and it'll repeat right here on the verse 1, right? You can see that I've mapped everything out. So the intro is all of this stuff with the snare roll. Now we're in verse 1. So verse 1 is going to be 8 repetitions on the verse, and then 8 more repetitions, literally the same thing. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So on the 8th one, you'll notice that there is no hi-hat. So just erase those on that last part. Then we're going to go into the second part of verse 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then the 8th is just kick, kick. And then we've got a snare, a clap, and a crash left, right? And that's going to be the fill before we get into the chorus drums. So let's go into the chorus. Same repetitions. There is no foot splash. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. On the 8th one, you just got this fill with crash left, which is the same as the intro drums. Okay, so now let's go into the second part of the chorus. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now we're in verse 2 of the drums. Verse 2 is essentially the same as verse 1. Not much is changing, so let's hear it. You got we've added back the foot splash, right? So chorus doesn't have hi-hat foot splash, verses do. So here's verse 2. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Again, there's no foot splashes on the 8th one here, so that's the little difference that you have. Now we're on the second part of verse 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So here's that fill on the 8th. Kick, kick, snare with a crash left, and then gets 2 snares. And right? So you just add these 2 snares, and that's the fill at the end of verse 2. Now we are in chorus 2, so let's check this out. So on the beginning of chorus 2, we've got a crash left. That's the only difference. So let's go. 1, 2, 3, 4. On the 4th repetition, we've got this crash left happening at the same time as your snares. 5, 6, 7, 8. Right? The 8th is completely normal. Then we're in the second part of chorus 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, Same type of fill here, so you could even just Command R the beginning of chorus 2 to get this. So on the last one, on the 8th repetition on the second part of chorus 2, we have 3 crash lefts, right? So we've got kick, kick, snare, and then a hi-hat. Crash left, crash left, crash left. So go ahead and copy this MIDI. 1 and 2 and. We're in solo 1, so let's hear how that sounds. You might notice that something has changed here, right? So we're doing all of the same things we were doing before for the verse. So you can go ahead and copy the drums for the verse, and this is going to be the same for the solo. Right, there are a little bit more fills here. So essentially, I have this ride cymbal happening on 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and consistently throughout. You might notice that they're all different velocities, and that's kind of just to mimic a drummer, right? So this is a higher one, this is a lower one, this is kind of lower still, and then I've got a higher one. So I'm going 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. For the rest of the drums, it is just the verse with some fills. So let's hear it. So 1, 2, 3, 4. That's just a little bit of a fill on the 4th repetition here. 5, 6, 7, 8. So here's that fill. On the 8th one, you've got crash left with your snares and kick again, and then you've got a kick happening on the and of 4, 4, and then we're into the second part of the solo, so let's check out those drums. I would probably copy this and use it for the solo. And so let's hear the fill that's happening. So I've got high tom and crash left, my high tom and my snare center, my kick happening at the same time as my high tom and my crash left, another kick, then I've got my kick, my low tom and my high tom at the same time, and then my low tom and my mid tom at the same time. It's kind of like a tom fill, and then it's just ending with a crash left. So it sounds like this again. Now we're in the bridge, okay? And so for the bridge, there are no drums. What we do have to add is a shaker. So what you can do is open up your browser window by pressing Y. Go ahead and type in shaker. And click the first one. That's the one I'm using, the Shaker 808 Flex. All I did here to make it seem kind of realistic is I drew in these MIDI notes kind of like one semitone apart from each other. So it sounds like this. And I kind of played around with the velocity here because if they're all maxed out, it's not going to sound very realistic. And if they're all on the same sample, it's not going to sound very realistic. And so this is as realistic as I could get it to sound. 1 Iena, 2 Iena, 3 Iena, 4 Iena. Take that, draw it in, get this to be just that one measure, repeat it 4 times. The last one is going to be a little bit different because it doesn't last as long. 1 Iena, 2 Iena, 3 E. So it ends on the E of 3. So that's just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. You got 9 little samples here, and then it stops because the drums come back in. Right, then we're back into the verse. So let's look at verse 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, the 8 one is just going to be kick, kick, and then crash left and crash right. So big old crash, crash. Okay, then we're into chorus 3. So let's hear chorus 3. So this one is a bit of a more intense fill. The 8th repetition of the second time of the chorus 3. This one's going to be kick, kick, high foot splash with a clap and a snare. And then we've got kick, snare, kick, snare, kick, snare, clap with a crash. And then we've got a kick, and then we're doing a kick again, and we're on the outro solo section now. So here's the outro solo section. It starts off with a crash L and R and a kick. Crash R on that repetition on the 4th. Crash 5, 6, 7. So this fill part is exactly the same as the last. You can just copy that last part and put it in right here. Then we're starting back off, second part, with your crash LNR with your kick, same as before. Right, same fill as before in the middle of the 4th repetition. This is the ending of the song, right? We're just doing kick, 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 and we're doing both of our crashes, the L and the R crash happening on all of those. So we've got 1 and 3 and 1. And that's it for the drums. I'm going to combine all of these. I got them all highlighted. I'm going to Command J, join all of them. Now they're one track. So I'm going to go into this, return to the beginning, and I want you to listen to it and watch it and compare your drums. I will call out the sections as we pass them. So here we go. We're on the intro right now. Verse 1. Still verse 1. Chorus. Verse 2. In the chorus 2 right now. Solo 1. We've added the ride cymbal. Going into the bridge. Shaker. Into verse 3. Into chorus 3. Into the outro solo. Right? And that's the entire song for drums. Okay? Just kind of fades out like that. Awesome. Now let's learn the rest of the stuff. So I just added a bass guitar. I just went over to guitar in my browser. I went to bass in my browser, fingerstyle bass. That's the first thing. So let's go ahead and do the bass. So we've got F, F, B flat, B flat. So F, F, B flat, B flat. A sharp is the same thing as B flat. So in harmonic, we've got A, F, F, B flat, B flat. Great, that's it. Get this, Command R, again. Command R again. Now on this one, we're going to add these notes. So that's just 2 C's. So we've got F twice, B flat twice, and then C twice. And we're going to end with an E. So overall, the intro here for the bass is after the snare roll, 2 Fs, 2 B flats, 2 Fs, 2 B flats, 2 Fs, 2 B flats, and then C, 2 Cs, and then we end with an E, E, and then you're just going to take all that, just do this, Command Join, and then you can Command R, repeat it. That happens exactly the same on the verse. Okay, then we're going to take all that and Command R again. So we're just repeating it again. Now we're in the chorus, which is a little bit different. We're just going to go F twice, B flat twice, C twice, and then B flat twice. So let's go through that. We got 2 Fs, 2 B flats, 2 Cs, 2 B flats. Then we've got 2 Fs, 2 B flats, 2 C's with an E, okay? And then that's going to be repeated. I'm going to Command Join. You can just Command R that. 2 B flats, F, B flat to C, E. Back into the verse. Go ahead and copy what you have for verse 1 and paste it for verse 2. Here's verse 2. Repeat. Right now we're in chorus 2, which is the same as chorus 1. So go ahead and take your chorus 1 and repeat it. So the solo is going to be the same as the verse. You just go ahead and copy the verse, copy it, and paste it here. Okay, then we're out. Then we're back in verse 3, which is the same as verse 1. So I'm just going to go ahead and join all that stuff together, copy the first verse, and do it again. Verse 3 only happens once, and then we're right into chorus 3, so that's a bit different. Measure 54, you're in chorus 3, which is different for the bass, right? 2 Fs, 2 B flats, 2 Cs, 2 B flats, back to F, right? So just repeating the old chorus. Chorus bass here. Chorus again for the outro solo. And it ends with F. Okay, cool. So to get kind of this gritty tone that I have, you just press your X for your mix window. You got by default these bass amps and stuff. Comes by default with a compressor as well. It comes with most of these things. I added on another amp to it and basically just cranked the gain up. If you want to put distortion on it, you can, because this is a rock song and the bass is distorted. But moving on from the bass guitar, we've got guitars. So let's just focus on one at a time. Make your guitar classic clean, and that's this guitar. So you can copy all your bass MIDI, go onto your guitar track, and paste it. That way, you don't have to do as much work, right? All of the rhythms are already there. Just copy the bass, paste it onto the guitar, and make sure that the octave is right. So all I did, right, I made sure it sounds like this, right? So if it sounds like, I don't know, sounds like that, bring it down. Highlight all of the notes that you just pasted, and then you'll have all of them here, right? Then you can Command C and then Command V to paste them, and then move all of those notes up to C, right? And then you'll have the second note already pasted there for you. The next thing you can do is you can paste it again and then move that last one to go to F. So then you've got all of the chords moving by themselves. You just copied the bass and you've pasted on F, you've pasted on F and dragged all the notes to C, then you pasted again, you dragged all of those to F. Okay? So that'll give us the normal kind of chord progression here. So if I'm just hearing the guitar, you might notice I've got these extra notes down here. That's because I noticed this later on. It's a power chord with an extra fifth in the bass. So essentially, just add these two notes. These two Fs, two Fs, two Fs, and then I've got these two Gs. Okay, so now here's this lick that this guitar does. Generally, it's a unison bend, but you can't really do that on Logic. So I've got an A sharp here, and then a C. So I've made the C last for this long, and then this is half as long, so it sounds like you're bending up a little bit, right? And then you just repeat that, essentially. You should have all of the guitar notes if you've copied from the bass. So what I'm going to do next, after I've made sure all my notes are correct for guitar, is I'm going to go to the chorus, which is right here, measure 14. I'm going to select this track and Command T to trim it. Then I'm going to go to measure 22 and then select the track again, Command T. Okay. Then I'm going to move that to a new guitar track. So I'm making a new guitar track here. I went to guitar, British stack, synth lead, right? Because this is distorted now. Because the other ones were a little distorted. This is a lot distorted. So it sounds, bigger. In place of palm muting, I just got another guitar track that's distorted. And that's how I'm going to process it for the choruses. Okay. So the choruses, again, if you copied and pasted the MIDI notes for the bass, your guitar notes should be pretty similar. And they look like this. Chorus. So on this one, there is no special power chords. It's all just vanilla. And then we're just going back to verse 2, which is just verse 1 repeated, right? This is pretty repetitive. We've got the verse happening in the same way, and the chorus is happening in the same way. So now we've got chorus 2, which is the exact same thing as chorus 1. And then we've got solo 1. So for the rhythm guitars, the solo is just going to be the same as the verse. You just copy and paste that. Then we've got the bridge, which is going to be its own thing. So pay attention to these guitars. So again, we're still only on this first guitar. What I did is I finished the entirety of the song for one guitar, and then I duplicated that track. And I panned them, one left, one right. So this one is going to be your clean guitar. And here's what's happening on your clean guitar if I just solo this. Okay, so make sure you got those notes. A, F, B, F, D, A sharp, and then it goes again. Same thing. And then it happens a third time. And then on the last time, it's different. You got B to F, to D, to B, and you got a B flat or A sharp to an F. So make sure you got those MIDI notes here. The verse 3 is the same as the verse 1. Then we're in the chorus, which is the same as the choruses before. I just put it on these more distorted tracks. And then the outro solo, that's just going to be your chorus repeated again. Right, just more chorus repetitions here. And you're going to end on this F power chord. Okay, so that's the guitar. You can probably just make all of that MIDI on one guitar because we were talking about hard rock originally. Click this track, press Command D, and it will duplicate that track. Then you can just highlight everything you just did and drag it down onto the next one. Okay, I already did that. So here's my repetition. Okay, so what I'm doing here to make it kind of like a rock song is I'm panning one R, So that means I'm sending one guitar completely to the right side, and I'm panning one L. I'm sending one guitar completely to the left side. So if I just solo both of these, it'll sound like a stereo image, right? If I mute one, you only get one side. What that's doing is it's mimicking a live setting, right? You'll have a rhythm guitarist, probably two sometimes, and you'll have a lead right in the middle. That's going to be your guitars. I will make this brief note about the bridge real fast because we got this part, right? The duplication is not the same thing on the bridge. Only on the bridge. Everything else is the same. But on the bridge, guitar R, name this hard rock R, and guitar L, hard rock L, are different. So here's R. This is the one we just did. Here's L. So on L, you've got an F, a C, an F, back to C, A sharp or B flat, to an F, to an A sharp or B flat, back to an F, and then you do that again 2 more times. And then again. And the last time is different. You've got a B, an F, a B, an F, an A sharp, and an F. Okay, so if I play those together, they sound like this. Cool little counterpoint type thing happening there in the bridge. We're pretty much done. Now this brings us to the lead guitar. So let me talk a little bit about what I did for the lead guitar. First off, I made a British combo synth lead. These are British stack synth leads, so all of the guitar tones are different. First off, okay, the notes sound like this. You might notice that repeats, right? So this, all of this stuff is exactly the same as all of this. So let's just get the first repetition, then Command R it and be done. Got an F, a D sharp, a C, an A sharp again, a B, an A sharp, and then a G sharp. And it looks like that, sounds like this. And all of these kind of phrases are starting on the and of one. And then we've got an F, a D sharp, a C, a G sharp, and an F. And then we're just going to kind of repeat this first part so you can highlight this. Command C, come over here. On measure 40, Command V. And we're going to end this phrase with A sharp, G sharp. So that solo sounds like this. Okay, then I'm going to highlight all of this. Command C, go to measure 42, Command V, done. Then you've got your solo happening here. That's solo number 1. Here is solo number 2. Solo number 2 is a bit more random. It's essentially just improvising an F minor pentatonic, which is a guitar thing. But you don't have to play guitar to be able to put this, so let's see what they're doing. Here we go, just for measure 58. It starts on the 2. We've got 2 Fs, and then a D sharp, a C, a D sharp, a C, another C, D sharp, 2 Cs again, a C, a D sharp, a C, D sharp, C, D sharp, C, C, D sharp, C, C, D sharp. Then we start to descend. B, A sharp, F, G sharp, G sharp, F, F, higher octave F, C, D sharp, C, B, A sharp, G sharp, A sharp, G sharp, B, G sharp, A sharp, G sharp, F. Then we're continuing F, F, G sharp, A sharp, B, G sharp, F, G sharp, A sharp, B, A sharp, G sharp, A sharp, G sharp, F, D sharp, G, G sharp, F, F, D sharp, F, F, D sharp, G sharp, G sharp. That is the last solo. It looks like this. Here is the first section of the outro solo. Okay. Here's the second. Here's the end. Try and get those as close as you can. Those are all the notes, and that's what's important. Okay, so in the song, they're using something called a Talkbox. That's essentially like a little plastic tube being fed through a pedal that essentially allows your mouth to get the sound of the guitar, and you can kind of alter its shape with your mouth, and then the microphone will pick that up. Well, Logic doesn't necessarily have a preset for that, and so what I did was I kind of made my own by creating a vocoder in a wah pedal. So here's how you can do that. Make a new software instrument like this. Command Option S, press I to go to your inspector. Click this. You're going to look for your Evoc 20 PS vocoder synth. So click this. Go up to sidechain. Go up to sidechain, go to instrument and click British Combo Synth Lead. And then you're going to have your guitar being fed into this vocoder. And so the way to get it to sound like stuff is you could just click your solos, copy that MIDI, paste it onto your track, and then you should be able to hear some sound. My vocoder, I changed some presets on it. So if I'm in my vocoder right now, make sure that you go here, go to Vintage Vocoder, Clear Voice Vocoder. And then you're going to take the balance here, and you're going to change this green bar to like down here to make the pitch just a little bit higher. But overall, you should be able to hear this pretty well. So essentially, I've created a clear voice vocoder. I've created a British combo synth lead to make the electric guitar. Both of those things are happening at the same time. And while they're happening, I've sent them to a separate output. So I changed their output from stereo out by going into my mix window here. Went to X to my mix window. I clicked on stereo out where it normally is, and I went to output bus, and then I changed it to bus 7. So essentially I have this wah pedal track, which is bus 7, and my guitar is being sent to bus 7, and so is my vocoder, okay? So now I've got this wah pedal, right? And so what I want to do here is I want to automate my wah so I can like make it work. So if I press play here, and I'm just soloing these 3 guys, you'll see my wah pedal is moving. See all these dots. The way to do that is to go into your bus, click right, okay, open up your wah and your pedals, go to the beginning of your track, press play, and start just like click and hold this and move it up and down. Okay, something like that, right? So it sounds pretty similar to the solo in the song, which is a Talkbox. So yeah, I've done a lot here. I've made a lead guitar. I've created a vocoder that uses a sidechain input from that guitar, clear voice vocoder, with the balance being closer to wave 2, so it's a higher octave, not a lower octave. I've gone into my mix window, and I've output both of these. So I didn't send, I made an output to bus 7, so that they are both being controlled by this I put my wah on, and I automated my EQ here by pressing on my wah. I clicked right. Now it's on touch, which means it's just going to read it. You can also just put it back on read, and it's going to read it. Right? So it's still kind of reading that automation data. You're going to do the exact same thing for the second solo. Okay, so this is just my attempt at trying to get things as close to this record as I can. This is much more involved than anything we've done before. It is an entire rock song minus vocals with drums, bass, and all guitars. I will go through the markers now just to make sure that you kind of can get on track as well. If you want to add markers, it might help organize you. So I'm going to click this right here. Global tracks, just press G on your keyboard or click this thing right there. Intro goes from the first bar to the sixth bar. Verse 1 goes from measure 6 to 14. Chorus goes from 14 to 22. Verse 2 goes from 22 to 30. Chorus 2 goes from 30 to 38. Solo 1 goes from 38 to 46. Bridge goes from 46 to 50. Verse 3 goes from 50 to 54. Chorus 3 goes from 54 to 58. Outro solo goes from 58 to 68. And then the end happens at the 68th measure. Again, remember, we're on 87 BPM here. Let me know if you guys have any questions. And that should be it. Thank you very much.